thank everyone for their attendance tonight. We will start with the invocation by the Reverend Chuck Halig, pastor of St. John's Baptist Church. If everyone would stand for the invocation and remain standing after the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Reverend, we're so glad that you came and we thank you.
Thank you. Join me in prayer, please. Lord of hosts, grant that those in this room tonight might make decisions that would meet the needs of your creation. Give them the insight and leadership to improve the conduct of humanity. Make them successful. I really don't know what success looks like in this setting, but I feel it has to do with wise governance, bold decision-making, humble hearts. For those in this council that follow you, give them the testimonies of peace and holiness that they might draw others to follow you also into your saving grace. Let the words of our mouth and the meditations of our heart be acceptable in your eyes, O Lord, and righteous altogether. In the mighty name of our Messiah and Christ alone, we ask this. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend, thank you again for coming down. You have the roll call, Madam Clerk. Everyone's present. Do I have a motion for the certification of the closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Is there, I got a motion and a second? I'll call for the question, please.
Mr. Moss?
Aye.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have certified the closed session to be in accordance with the motion to recess.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion of approval of the minutes for January 20th, 2015?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call for the question, please.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have approved the.
I open a public hearing on excess city-owned property, Burton Station Road. Ma'am?
Yes, sir. We have a speaker, Ms. Barbara Messner.
Barbara will have 3 minutes, and we welcome you.
Good evening. Okay, it took me a while to research the brief. The brief in the newspaper doesn't give all the details, so I had to do the research with the help of Amanda. I really appreciate your help. My questions aren't about this particular project as much as how the projects, why you're acquiring property, making it excess property.
Okay, this public hearing's on the Burton Station Road project.
It is on the Burton Station. Do any members of this council body have a potential conflict of interest with this developer, his builder, or his banker? Have you read the state Virginia code pertaining to conflicts by local government officials? Have you asked for a legal opinion by the Commonwealth Attorney and the state Attorney General? The city attorney cannot provide legal opinions. As per State Code Title 2.2, Chapter 31, 2.2, 3100 through 2.2, 3131. And will Mr. Sessoms and Mr. Uren please consider stepping down and not voting on all the projects that are being pushed through rapidly until the investigations are completed? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mr.
What's the one
Mayor.
that we got on is she speaking on next?
No, I don't think, I think she spoke.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor,
ma'am.
Would you mind if we got Mr. Stiles to comment about legal opinions from his office?
Correct, yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes, Your Honor. My office can and does provide written opinions when requested by any member of this council. Those opinions are a factual defense to a claim of violation of the Act. You may also request an opinion from the Commonwealth's attorney. The Commonwealth's attorney, and an opinion rendered by the Commonwealth attorney upon a full and fair disclosure of the facts is an absolute defense to a prosecution.
Thank you.
Distinction.
I'm going to hold off on the consent agenda because we had something on the consent that we have a speaker on. And Barbara Mesner, item number 2, SUL Tranquility Lakes LLC. William Donald Martin.
That's okay, it's all related to the same thing.
Well, we thank you. I'll turn it over to the consent agenda, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for approval on the consent agenda, first under ordinances and resolutions. Item I-1, which is an ordinance to declare property on Burton Station Road excess of the city's needs and authorize the city manager to sell to SUL Tranquility Lakes LLC. Item 2, I-2, which is ordinances, rate property at 130 London Ridge Road. A, declare the property excess of the city's needs, and B, authorize the city manager to convey to the Development Authority in the Beach District. Clerk would please note that Mr. Moss is voting no on 2B. Item 3, which is ordinances to accept, appropriate, and/or transfer $300,000 from the Landmark Foundation to the Public Health Department Ray New Baby Care Program. B, $212,612 from Economic Development Ray final payment to Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance. C, $20,780 from the Oyster Heritage Fund to Planning and Community Development Ray Oyster Shell Recycling Program.
And open a public hearing for planning.
Madam Clerk, are there any speakers on item J1?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Under planning for consent, item J1, which is to defer indefinitely Leonard M. Lyon Ray enlargement and relocation of a non-conforming use at 4481 Lee Avenue in the Bayside District. 2, SUL Tranquility Lakes LLC, William Donald Martin Jr. Ray modification of conditions to expand the scope of the project at 5827 Burton Station Road in the Bayside District. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call for the question, please.
By vote of 11-0, and noting the abstention of Mr. Moss and the disclosure of Mrs. Wilson, you have approved the consent agenda as read by the Vice Chair.
I'll now go to item number 3 in planning, ordinance regarding City of Virginia Beach to amend the comprehensive plan regarding Princess Anne.
I just want to explain my no vote.
Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I voted no on the item to convey the title to the Excess Property Development Authority because they are not subject to the Competitive Procurement Act of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I believe it's better if the city council that owns that land and trust for the public subjects that to the same competition as any other business we would conduct. And I feel much more comfortable with our control than I do with the Development Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Moss. Item number 3, ordinance regarding City of Virginia Beach to amend the comprehensive plan regarding Princess Anne and Transition Area Chapter 4 of the policy document. B, amend the transition area design guidelines to incorporate by reference into the comprehensive plan. I understand there's a speaker.
Russell and Peggy Harris.
We welcome you tonight. You'll have 3 minutes each.
Your Honor, thank you. Council members, thank you so much for this honor and opportunity. It's a privilege to be a citizen of Virginia Beach, and we hold the transition area and beyond pretty dear to our hearts. And Madam Henley, Madam Speaker, council member there, she does a great job keeping everybody informed as well. And sir, thank you very much as well. With regard to the changes that Madam Councilmember has had reinstated here is very, very good. There's a couple of clarifications that we would like, if at all possible, regarding first and foremost of open development areas. Does that include when a subdivision or something of that nature has been approved? Are they going to incorporate open space, meaning a park that may be next to it, or is it going to be within the approved development area? That's one item.
I will try to get answers from you from the staff if you hold your questions to a minimum, just a few minutes upon your conclusion.
All right, thank you.
Jack, if you all will make note of this, please.
Okay.
Well, I want to Specifically, I am curious about the 50%. When we talk about buffer zones and keeping 50% open space within developments and whatnot, I know of at least one instance in the past where a development was able to up its density by counting a barrow pit as part of the overall 50% of open land they would have. So by playing with the numbers, they actually managed to double, and I think in a few cases almost triple the number of units they were able to fit per lot, because according to the numbers, they still had 50% open space. So some of the concerns that we have and that we've heard from our neighbors are what exactly is going to be counted as open space and how will it be counted? Will there still be number juggling in order to ultimately wind up with 4 townhouses per lot instead of a single-family residence per half acre, so on and so forth? That kind of thing. We've seen it happen. It's already happening. Is it going to continue to happen? Is it going to continue to fill the transition zone, or maybe even at some point creep beyond the green line?
And with that, we thank y'all for everything y'all have done. And again, a great job getting a lot of this language back to where it is now, according to this, that we've seen.
Okay.
And if we can continue as a body, keeping in mind that is a transition area and it thus should look as one. Thank y'all very much for the
We
opportunity.
thank you for coming down.
Thank y'all.
And Ms. Henley, do you want to answer, or would you like Jack to do it?
We can, and I'll be glad to talk about it. This is one of the things that this whole process of trying to clarify
You go ahead and be
these,
seated.
what was in the transition area guidelines, has been kind of loose. And so that was the attempt to, to clarify these design guidelines that as they have been determined. And of course, we do have some particular things that are now considered undevelopable. And if we go back to this wording of developable open space, then that would not be able to be counted in that density calculation and the open space. That's my concern about using the word gross. Then that could be interpreted, because actually it's not even defined in our ordinance, could be I look in the dictionary and gross means all. And my concern is that then everything that really is undevelopable could get to be counted as open space when it's going to be open space anyway, because it's totally undevelopable. But we do have some concerns with the way that developable even is allocated. But as I said in the informal session, I think that's a bigger question that needs some look, and we might want to make some adjustments to Section 200 that does allow density credit for and calls property developable when in fact it isn't, because it's floodplain or some categories of wetlands, and we've got a lot of categories of wetlands that we might want to relook at. And so the whole attempt at doing these amendments is to make some clarifications so that we can try to make the transition area be what I think it's supposed to be, and that is truly a transition area from the suburban to the rural. And it's not perfect, because we're not beginning with an empty slate. We are beginning with an area that's already got a lot of development, and we're really trying to kind of do the loose ends, and therefore we don't make recommendations to change things that, then could be seen as being the takings by the property owner.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Do I have a second? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll call for the question, please.
I just want to say something too. I'm going to vote no, because there's some changes that we just got on Friday, and it's different from what the Planning Commission recommended for today, and I'm not saying that I totally agree or disagree with these things, but I think there was a lot of confusion, and I'm not sure, because we got it so late, if the general public really is aware of these as well. So it's just sort of a principle thing.
Thank you, Rosemary. Any other questions or comments? I'll call for the question, please.
By a vote of 9 to 2, you have approved the amendments for the Virginia Beach Comprehensive Plan and Transition Area Design Guidelines.
Thank you. I'll move to appointments. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate to the Community Services Board Dr. Joyce B. Harvey, to the Deferred Compensation Board Dan Edwards, to the Personnel Board Ruby Christian, and as alternates, Grace McPherson and Kristen Osborne. And to the Transition Area ITA Citizens Advisory Committee, Glenwood Branch, John W. Cromwell, Diana Hicks, and Lisa Hartman.
Do I hear any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll call for the question, please.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have made the appointments listed by the Vice Mayor.
Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? We'll adjourn, but don't go anywhere, because we're going to have open mic. Do we have any speakers tonight?
We have some, but they didn't check in. Let me see if they're here.